Picture this with me for a second. It's March 15, 2026. Demi Moore is walking the red carpet at the 98th Academy Awards, draped in a custom Gucci gown designed by Demi. This dramatic cascade of deep black and emerald feathers so overwhelming, the fashion world immediately nicknamed it the pineapple dress. And the whole internet just stops. Not because of the gown. Because of her. The face that lit up Ghost in 1990. The body that broke Hollywood's pay ceiling in 1996. The woman our entire generation grew up watching. And suddenly, thousands of fans online are typing the same 3 words over and over. I don't recognize her. Tonight, I'm taking you through 40 years of one of the most scrutinized women in Hollywood history. A quiet, painful journey that secretly invented every single beauty trend we've been living through since 1995. The comeback body, the pillow face era, the Fendi hollow cheek moment, and now whatever this is. And girl, wait until you hear what her own film, The Substance, predicted about this exact moment. Because I promise you, nobody saw this coming. Chapter 1. Let's go all the way back. Because before we can understand what happened to Demi Moore's face, we have to understand what made her face matter in the first place. The first thing you need to know is that Demi did not have an easy start. She was born in New Mexico in 1962 to 2 very young, very unstable parents. She moved constantly, something like 40 times before she was a teenager. Her stepfather struggled terribly. And by the time she was 19 years old, she had already survived things most grown women would need a lifetime to recover from. So, when she walked into Hollywood with nothing but a fake ID and a dream, she was already carrying a weight nobody could see. Then 1985 happened. St. Elmo's fire, the Brat Pack, and here's a detail almost nobody knows. Director Joel Schumacher actually told her she had to get sober before filming or he would recast her on the spot. He hired a counselor to live with her day and night on set. From the very first movie, Demi learned something that would shape the next 4 decades of her life. Her physical control was her professional survival. If she wanted to stay, she had to be perfect. And then came 1990 and the world fell in love. Ghost, that little pixie haircut she chopped off herself without even telling the director. The pottery scene, that softness. She looked natural, genuinely stop you in your tracks, naturally beautiful in a way that felt almost impossible to manufacture. For a minute, it really seemed like she was going to be allowed to be that real, whole, soft, the thinking woman's leading lady. But here's the part most people missed, because behind the scenes, that natural Demi was already disappearing. She wrote about this herself in her 2019 memoir, Inside Out. She said there was a general pressure for perfection coming out of the 80s and 90s. Every magazine, every ad, every screen had to be clean and perfect, and there was absolutely no room in that world for a real body or a real face. And Demi delivered. She biked 60 m a day. She trained like a woman preparing for war. She pushed her body to the absolute edge for A Few Good Men, for Indecent Proposal, for that famous 1991 Vanity Fair cover, and completely changed maternity photography forever. Because Hollywood in the 90s didn't want a woman. It wanted a manufactured miracle, and Demi was about to build one. Chapter 2, which brings us to 1996, the year everything broke. Because in 1996, Demi signed a contract for a film called Striptease. And she got paid $12.5 million for it. And I need you to stop and really feel that number for a second. Because in 1996, that was the highest salary ever paid to a woman for a single film in cinematic history. She didn't just break the pay ceiling, she rewrote it. And Hollywood punished her for it. The press didn't celebrate her. They didn't crown her. They ripped her apart. Late-night hosts made her punchline for months. And because the film was about a stripper, the coverage twisted her record-breaking deal into something shameful, like she had earned it the wrong way. Demi said it herself years later on the New York Times interview podcast. She said when she became the highest-paid actress, it felt like the instant a woman was equal at pay, the choice was to tear her down. I can look back and on one hand with Striptease it was as if I had betrayed women. I think the interesting piece in that is that when I became the highest-paid actress, the film underperformed in the US, so did G.I. Jane a year later, and just like that at 34 years old the highest-paid actress in Hollywood history quietly disappeared. She moved to Idaho. She raised her 3 daughters Ruma, Scout, and Tula. She went completely away and then came 2003 and the comeback that rewrote everything. Charlie's Angels, full throttle premiered that June. Demi was 40 years old, which in the early 2000s, Hollywood was basically considered the end of the road. And she walked out of the ocean in a white bikini holding a surfboard with an abdomen so sharp it looked airbrushed in real life. The cultural reaction was absolutely wild. Magazines could not stop writing about how a 40-year-old woman could possibly look like that. And that's when the tabloid started whispering a number, $300,000. CBS News reported at the time that it had been whispered through industry circles that she had spent somewhere north of $300,000 on a full-body makeover, facelift, liposuction, a list of other work fans speculated about for years. Demi has never confirmed that number, not once, not in any interview, not in her memoir. Her team at the time leaned hard into stories about raw food diets and extreme surfing. But the $300,000 rumor stuck to her like glue. Because what it really represented was something Hollywood didn't even have a name for yet. Investment beauty. The grim new idea that if you were a woman over 40 in that town, your body was no longer something you had. It was something you bought with money, with surgery, with pain. And Demi Moore, whether she wanted to be or not, had just become the blueprint for every actress who would come after her. Chapter 3. Now, here is where the story gets really heavy. Because in 2005, Demi married Ashton Kutcher, who is 15 years younger than her. And the tabloid coverage was relentless. Every photo, every red carpet, every cover asked the same cruel question. How is she keeping up? And girl, the heartbreaking part is what she wrote later in Inside Out. She said she didn't see what was happening at the time. She was inside of it. She said she was a 40-year-old woman with a big life, and Ashton's adult life was just beginning, and she couldn't see how much of herself she was giving up just to stay inside his world. By the time that marriage fell apart in 2013, something had already shifted in her face, something fans had been quietly noticing for years. Welcome to the pillow face era. Throughout the 2000s, Hollywood discovered dermal fillers. No facelift, no recovery, just a needle, 15 minutes, and suddenly your cheeks looked a decade younger. It was sold to women as lunch break magic. And every single major actress over 40 got on board. Demi, Courtney Cox, Nicole Kidman, the list just kept growing. And this is where sharp-eyed viewers started noticing something because the internet noticed it all at once. They were all starting to look exactly the same. This is the phenomenon fans started calling the same face. 3 women with completely different bone structures, different heritages, different faces for decades. And suddenly all 3 sharing the same smooth, overfull, flat mid-cheek. Aesthetic doctors who analyzed the trend for magazines like Elle and Harper's Bazaar explained it mechanically. The same filler formula injected into the same mathematical points produced the same result no matter who was underneath. The individuality got erased. The character got flattened. The faces we grew up loving started blurring into one generic face. Fans were harsh online. They called it the copy-paste face. They said Nicole Kidman's stretched features pulled them out of period films. That Courtney Cox on Cougar Town didn't even look like herself anymore. And Demi, who once had one of the most distinctive faces in the entire industry, was now constantly being confused for Courtney in side-by-side photos. She even posted one of those side-by-sides herself on Instagram with the caption, "Who's who?" And here's the part that matters. Courtney eventually had everything dissolved. She told New Beauty magazine that you keep doing more and more because you look normal to yourself. You look in the mirror and you think, oh, that looks good. And then one day you realize you don't look like you anymore. Courtney turned back. Courtney got out. Demi Moore did not. Demi was about to walk somewhere the world had never seen before. Chapter 4. January 2021. Paris Haute Couture Fashion Week, and Demi Moore at 58 years old is opening the Fendi Spring Summer Couture Show. It was Kim Jones's debut couture collection as the new creative director. She walked the runway alongside Kate Moss, Naomi Campbell, Cara Delevingne, Christy Turlington, a lineup of the most recognizable faces of her entire generation. And she wore this stunning black silk satin suit with a peplum waist, bell sleeves, and none of it mattered because within minutes of those runway photos hitting the internet, the conversation completely shifted. And nobody was talking about the clothes. They were talking about her face because something about Demi's face that night looked profoundly, strangely different. Her cheekbones seemed impossibly high and sharp. Her lower face looked hollowed out. The soft cushion of fullness in her lower cheek that every Demi fan knew by heart. That signature softness simply appeared to be gone. And the reaction online was instant and it was massive. One viral tweet just said, "I wouldn't have thought that was Demi Moore without the headline." Another fan posted, "Oh, Demi, you really didn't have to go and have stuff done to your face." Reddit threads racked up tens of thousands of comments. Marie Claire, The Guardian, CNN, The Sun, all wrote pieces asking the exact same question. What happened? And this is where it's important to be very careful with me because aesthetic doctors who had never treated her started analyzing her publicly. And we can see that her cheeks look very full. It has some soft tissue augmentation with either fat or artificial fillers. Probably done a little bit too much. Dr. Mayam Zamani, quoted in Woman and Home, said it appeared to her that Demi might have had buccal fat removed. Other surgeons echoed it, and almost overnight, a procedure most women had literally never heard of, buccal fat removal, where surgeons extract the small pad of fat from your lower cheek to create sharper contours, became one of the most Googled cosmetic procedures in the world. Demi has never confirmed what she did or didn't have done, not once. When asked about the uproar, she gave a response that honestly still haunts me. She said, "We are living in a time of great judgment and that people can anonymously judge one another in really cruel ways." And she was right. But the damage was already done because thousands of regular women watching in real time, walked into clinics in 2021, 2022, and 2023 asking for that exact look, the Demi look, the Fendi look. And most of them didn't have the bone structure to carry it. Most of them didn't even understand they were removing something that naturally cushions the face against getting older. They were, as Dr. Lavibit Arian put it to Yet News, fast-forwarding their own aging clock by years. And they were doing it because one woman on one runway one night changed what beautiful was supposed to look like. This is the exact moment Demi Moore stopped being a movie star and quietly became a warning. Chapter 5. Now here is where this story becomes so astonishing, so painful, so poetic that if somebody handed it to you as fiction, you would throw it out as too on the nose to be real. In 2024, French director Coralie Fargeat cast Demi in a film called The Substance. The plot goes like this. A 50-year-old actress named Elizabeth Sparkle gets fired from her fitness TV show on her 50th birthday because she's too old. She finds something that lets her spawn a younger, sharper, more perfect version of herself. And then she slowly loses herself completely, giving up everything to stay relevant through that younger version. Hear that again. Because Coralie Fargeat was not writing fiction. She was writing Demi Moore's life. Demi took the role at the lowest point of her entire career. She said later that she had hit a place where she wasn't being challenged, where she didn't feel like herself anymore. She said a producer had once called her a popcorn actress 30 years earlier and she had believed him, and that belief had quietly corroded her for 3 whole decades. She was 61 years old when she stood at the Golden Globes in January 2025 in a stunning champagne Giorgio Armani Prive gown and accepted the very first acting award of her entire career. And she cried and the whole room cried with her. And she said one line that broke the internet clean in half. She said a woman once told her, "Just know you will never be enough. But you can know the value of your worth if you just put down the measuring stick." I had a woman say to me, "Just know you will never be enough, but you can know the value of your worth if you just put down the measuring stick." She went on to sweep everything. She won the Critics' Choice Award. She won the Screen Actors Guild Award. Every single sign pointed toward an Oscar. And then at the 97th Academy Awards in March 2025, she lost Best Actress to 25-year-old Mikey Madison for Anora. And girl, the plot of her own movie happened to her in real life. The younger woman winning, the older woman stepping aside. Not even the Academy could write an ending like this. And now we're right back where we started. March 15, 2026, the 98th Academy Awards. Demi is presenting this year. Not nominated. She walks out in that Gucci gown by Demna. Those sweeping black and emerald feathers. The internet reaction was not about the dress. It was about how delicate she looked inside of it. Page 6 quoted a veteran stylist who said the feathered cut appeared deliberately designed to draw focus upward to completely envelop her. Fans on Reddit said the gown seemed to be swallowing her whole. They kept using the word fading. And you want to know the most devastating part of this whole 40-year story? It's not the face. It's not the frame. It's not even the Oscars lost. It's something her own daughter, Tula Willis, wrote on Instagram a few years back before any of us understood what was coming. Tula said she punished herself for not looking like her mom. She said she had been told since birth she was her father Bruce's twin and she had resented the resemblance and she had believed for years that her more masculine face was the sole reason she was unlovable. That right there, that is the real cost of 40 years of chasing a standard. Not the surgery, not the fillers, not any of it. It's the daughter who grew up believing she wasn't beautiful enough to be her mother's child. So, who is Demi Moore in 2026? Is she a survivor? The woman who endured every possible version of Hollywood cruelty, came back at 61, and quietly delivered the performance of her lifetime? Or is she a cautionary tale, the woman whose face has become a 30-year visual record of every single beauty trend this industry ever invented? The truth, as always, is both at the exact same time. She is the woman who broke the pay ceiling and got punished for it. The woman who invented the 40-year-old comeback body and couldn't put the blueprint down. The woman who walked one runway and changed how a generation saw their own cheeks in the mirror. And she is the mother whose daughter is now teaching herself slowly, painfully, publicly how to love her own face. If Demi Moore's story tells us anything at all, it's this. Nobody wins this game. Not the most beautiful woman in the room. Not the highest paid actress in history. Not even the woman who made a film literally warning us not to play. The house always wins. And the price is almost never the money, it's everything else. Do you think Hollywood will ever let women age in peace, or are we just going to keep inventing new standards? Let me know what you think in the comments. If this one stayed with you the way it stayed with me, hit subscribe right now because I've got so many more stories like this coming and you absolutely do not want to miss the next.